of taking that action, and it releases oxytocin and dopamine, and I connect with you. So for this, when I see like an emotion, when I see you're emotional going through something that I've experienced, it connects and bonds us. That's why people become so irrational, like with emotion. So like you think about it, like, you know, take combat, like people do irrational things and they get these, you know, and it's sort of like the emotions are there. Like when we let go to the, like, not so much the need for control, but when we let go of our conscious awareness and we give in to the emotional, and we become, you know, emotionally unstable, where it's sort of like, think of emotional stability as like a balance between unconscious and conscious. If we're ruled by the unconscious, we're ruled by our emotions. You know, our unconscious urges, our impulses. If we're ruled by our conscious, we become emotionless. So the thing is the more conscious we become, in terms of the more I think about life as just being this 3D, the more I focus on my experience, what's in it for me, you know, this, that, and the other. Like when I'm focused too much on the conscious, the ego, the identity of self, well, that doesn't work out well, because then we get sociopaths. We get people that are like, take for example, like look at Gaza. You know, I don't know what the death toll's at now, but it's probably at like 100,000. Like, you know, and it's not to say one side is right, one side is wrong. Like, the killing is the wrong thing. But it's sort of like, if we can justify it one way, we can justify it one way. If we can justify it the other way, we can justify it the other way. But it doesn't sort of excuse the action that's being taken. But because we can, people do. So that's just an important thing, is just understanding that, like, if we're too focused on like life as only being this 3D life, my experience, I am, you know, a singular entity in a universe that is of nothingness. You know, there is only, you know, us. Like, there is only the physical. If we think like this, we cease to be connected to other. So to harm other does nothing to me. When we are connected to the spiritual side of it, okay, which is in our subconscious mind, which is our emotions and our feelings, connection to other. Spirituality is just connection to other. What we're doing is, we then, the pain and suffering I cause to another is pain and suffering on me. So we want to have this balance between, because, for example, if we're walking through the wilderness and let's say a tiger comes up on us, like, you know, like we don't get, like it's not really beneficial for me to worry, like, if I use a spear to kill this tiger, like, you know what I mean? Like, that poor tiger's gonna die. Like, in that situation, it doesn't matter. So in that situation, we need that callousness. But the problem is if we're like too much and always in our conscious mind of only understanding this existence as being this existence, then what happens is it becomes very, very easy to be callous to other people. And we can see it throughout wars, we can see it throughout like all of the negative of society. You know, the homelessness, how people, you know, there's large homeless community, like take for example America with their epidemics on drugs. And you just got these people that are pretty much, you know, killing themselves on pretty heavy drugs and sort of out on the street, and people are desensitized to it, and they sort of like just accept it's part of life. But you think about that with how many deaths, like if you just took America, you know, that opioids had, and you just went around every day and you killed that amount of people, people would be panicked. But they don't care, because it's sort of like this disassociation and separation of this is their actions, their consequences, you know. And that's sort of where our emotions are created, to sort of stop that so much from happening and create connection. But the problem is our society, in terms of we've gone from being community focused to being, you know, individual focused. So our communities and societies have, you know, suffered in terms of that. But it's just to understand that, you know, what we invest in, okay, increases and improves. So what we invest focus in. So when we all invest our focus in self, and self being the most important aspect of life, self becomes the most important aspect of life at the expense of other. And when we think about other as being the most important aspect of life, other, you know, is at the expense of self. So it's a balance between. And the important thing is that when we can get that balance right, life becomes easier. But to get that balance right, we just have to understand like how our mind works. That if I find myself, you know, living a life that I don't want to live, if I find myself, you know, giving into negative situations or negative, you know, events, like for example, if someone baits me into an argument just to trigger me and get me to become emotional and start arguing and yelling and screaming. Like, you know, if I let myself be baited in there, like the outcome will always be what the outcome will be, you know, on a range of, or a scale of, you know, intensity. But it's like, if I choose to change the actions and not get baited in, like the actions will be the exact, like the outcomes will be, you know, positive, but they'll be the same as in a scale. And that's all it is. So it's in the actions done on repeat, the actions done consistently. If I want to improve my relationships with other people around me, like, I have to go out there and invest into them. But I also have to, like, create the relationships in terms of, you know, one side of it is investing into it, but the other side of it is sort of being the version of yourself that is optimal for that relationship. Like, we think about other people and, you know, oh, if they were this way, if they were that way. But not many of us look at ourselves and think about ourselves, you know. And that's an important thing, because when we're creating change, change doesn't happen until you see yourself. So that's what I mean. Like, there are two ways we can approach change. We can approach change as the traditional view of, I have to work hard for an extended period of time to change, you know, to change like my behavioural patterns, or to change who I am, right? Or I can just, in the moment, change. So what I mean is that I can see it as I have to collect X amount of experience to achieve or attain change, or I can see it as change is a result of the actions. So if I take the actions, the change is the outcome. Do you sort of understand? So I can see change as being the result or change as being the outcome. And there's a slight difference. Because when I think of change as being the result, I'm focused on it as the outcome. Not as when I'm focused on change being the outcome. Okay? And it's a little bit difficult because results and outcome are the exact same thing. But it's the frame of mind. So when we think about it as results, as being the, end goal, as being the attainment, or we can think of results as being a result of the action. So results can either be the outcome or they can be a result of the action. And when we're able to do this and we're able to reframe that and start focusing on results being, a result of the actions, what we're able to do is now we're able to focus all of our attention, instead of being on the results, which are a static sort of aspect, or or a variable, but like a static variable. So like the outcomes will always be a multiplier of the action. So the multiplier is the effectiveness of the action. So when we're measuring the results are quite static, because if we're not moving the action metric and we're moving a different metric, the outcomes won't change. So if we think about it like this, there may be 5 or 6 different levers that equal the results, and maybe different combinations of the levers equal different values of the response. So in some cases, pulling one lever may get X result, pulling 3 levers may get Y result. So if we've got multiple levers and we're looking to get increase or to increase the results and expand the results, well, if we're looking at only the results and just pulling levers at random, well, we don't really understand what's happening. So when we look at what we're doing in terms of when we focus on the actions or the levers, and we start understanding how the levers influence the results, then we're able to calculate the different actions that we could do and the outcomes that would be a result of those actions. Do you sort of understand? So it's sort of like if I want to change, let's say, personality traits, and I want to be nicer, well, the levers I can pull, is things like being polite, being respectful. So in every moment, I can look at it as like, oh, I'm a polite and respectful person, and people are going to, let's say, be attracted to me and like me and, want to be around me or whatever. And I can look at it as like, I'm trying to get people to like me, so I'm a nice person. So I'm a respectful and nice person because I want people to like me. Or the other way is that people like me because I'm a nice and respectful person. And we put all the focus on the actions. So do you sort of understand? So in one way, it's sort of like I'm focused on the outcome and I just want the outcome. And the other way is I'm focused on the actions, and the better I am at the actions, the better the outcomes. And you know, an important thing is when we understand it like this, then we're able to understand that, like, if I wanted to change, for example, you know, a behavioral pattern of, you know, productivity, well, I'm able to identify, well, what is productivity to me? What do I want to change in terms of patterns and behaviors? So maybe like productivity is working out 1 hour a day, you know, working for 4 hours a day on business or personal endeavors. You know, maybe it's, you know, cooking a certain type of meal, a healthy meal. So it's sort of like working out the time requirements and the energy expenditure requirements, and then it's like that they just become a part of the day-to-day life. Do you sort of know what I mean? So like, what we're able to do is we're able to just, when we know that we're going to be taking this action for the next 9 months straight, we're able to just introduce things into our day-to-day life, and they just become a part of it. Like, there doesn't have to be a whole song and dance. So like, if I wanted to, you know, get in shape and get in better shape, like, I ring up the gym and I sign up to the gym, and then I start going to the gym. Like, there's no song and dance. Like, there doesn't have to be a song and dance. While you can create a song and dance and a pony show around it, but, you know, like, it doesn't need to be that way. So when we just understand that in the moment that I take the actions have been taken, or the actions are took, what that means is that, like, I don't have to attain anything. If I want to be a nicer person, if I take the actions of being nicer to people, I am a nicer person. Like, there's no big, like, reveal. Like, if I want to be more productive, I just add things into my daily routine, into my daily schedule. Like, that's just that. Like, it doesn't have to be, you know, this trying to create the most ideal schedule. Like, if I want to add something in, I just start doing it. Like I don't have to plan it out. Do you sort of know what I mean? So like, if I'm trying to avoid doing the work, well, I'm going to be trying to plan out, trying to find solutions to overcome doing the work, when I can just do the work and get the results. So what do I mean by this is just, if I want to be healthier, I just go on a diet. I don't have to try and find the right diet, find the right gym, this, that, and the other. Like, it doesn't matter. Like the diet and the exercise are just the only actions that need to be taken. So anything else that I create in there, okay, like any additional actions that I put into this aren't actually doing anything. Do you know what I mean? So like, a way to look at this is like, for example, like, oh, it's a hard one, but like, yeah, I got nothing. All right, that's gonna end this one. Thanks so much. Bye.